Most of the time people don't have bad experiences at their first job, and I can understand because you're clueless and you just don't know how much you should actually get paid and how many hours you should work. And that was my problem. So once I turned 18, I already knew that I have to get a first job during the summer, not because I wanted, but because parents think it will teach me responsibility, while I was okay with what YouTube paid me. Of course, if you are from a poor country like me, you'll understand how YouTube is basically your savior. So I actually planned to work at a pet store, but then my mom told me to work at this pizzeria as a barman and how her friend could get me in since she was working at that place. So I said yes, cause I thought they will pay me more, maybe at least $500. So I had to work 5 days straight and each day, and my job lasted 12 hours a day, which sounds illegal because it was, while other workers worked much less than I did, and I at some point feel like I was being used since, like I said before, I have no experience and they just were using that fact against me for their own good. My first day was kinda terrible. I was confused and I couldn't remember shit. I was panicking cause I always do that when I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Of course, after hours I learned how to do basic stuff, and what I hated the most was the fact that they expected me to learn everything fast, like this 50-page book with drink recipes. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? Basically, it was fucking hell for me. Sometimes I need help with a recipe, and there was this bitch manager who was just rolling her eyes every time I asked her for help or getting angry at me for doing something I had no idea about. Like, fucking teach me, for Christ's sake. She even took a darn chair from me just so I couldn't sit on it when there were no orders. And it was pain! For then I stopped asking her shit and asked this other girl if she knows where I could find this recipe, and she just straight told me.
Well, you are a barman here, right? You should know.
Today was my first day, and how am I supposed to know? I'm no freaking wizard to know it all at once. And for the second day, it got even worse. So this manager kept talking shit on me every time our boss asked her to help me.
It's not my responsibility to help her.
Or a time when a customer told us that we had many people at the bar, and she just said,
well, if we had a normal barman, maybe we wouldn't be so squished together at the bar.
And that shit doesn't really help me. It just makes me feel like I'm just not capable of doing anything at all animate cats dancing to music. And I totally was not crying in the bathroom while nobody was watching me. Maybe for some it doesn't sound awful, but for me it was. Believe me, I was panicking because orders kept coming and I just couldn't make everything on time. The staff was terrible, which is a bunch of bitches that keep talking about boys, and yet they were mad at me that I didn't talk much. But there's nothing to talk about with them. I just really had no idea what to say. They just keep talking about boys. Like, just boys. Do you also think I need to hear their stories about them taking dick up their ass for the first time? Ugh, no. And I left my job after 2 days of work. Yeah, I'm a sissy, but you know, it was a good decision to make. I was happy doing YouTube whole summer. Even if my parents keep calling me a failure every day, and that did make me feel guilty for a few months since it felt like I wasn't good at nothing. But when you're getting a job, you should at least enjoy it, to have some sort of motivation, but it wasn't the case for me.